In the annals of history, few events are as dramatic, as decisive, or as lopsided as the conquest of the Aztec Empire. It is a story of steel against obsidian, of gunpowder against feathers, of two worlds colliding with apocalyptic violence.
In our timeline, a handful of Spanish conquistadors, led by Hernán Cortés, achieved the impossible.
In little more than 2 years, they brought down an empire of millions, a civilization of towering pyramids, vast armies, and a capital city, Tenochtitlan, that dwarfed any European city of its time.
The story we know is that of Moctezuma, the indecisive emperor.
Of La Malinche,
the translator,
who shifted destinies.
But history hangs by the finest of threads.
And on the night of June 30th, 1520, that thread was about to break.
The Spanish called it La Noche Triste, the sad night. For the Aztecs, it was the night of victory. Following the massacre at the Great Temple perpetrated by Pedro de Alvarado, the city of Tenochtitlan was a powder keg. Cortés, outnumbered 1,000 to 1, attempted a desperate escape under the cover of darkness and a torrential storm.
Laden with stolen gold, they tried to cross the causeways connecting the island city to the mainland. But they were discovered. The sound of war drums and conch shells tore through the night. Thousands of war canoes emerged from the mist. The Spaniards' portable bridges collapsed.
Hundreds of conquistadors, weighed down by the gold they refused to abandon, were dragged to the bottom of Lake Texcoco.
Men and horses drowning in the mud and brackish water.
In our history, Cortés miraculously escaped.
He lost more than half his men, but he, his key captains, and his ally, La Malinche, survived to reach Tlaxcala, regroup, and counterattack. But what if that miracle had not happened? What if the Night of Sorrows had truly been the final night? Let us imagine that same night, the same rain, the same panic, but this time, an eagle warrior has better aim.
An obsidian-tipped spear finds not a common soldier, but Hernán Cortés himself. He falls from his horse, mortally wounded, and is swallowed by the lake. Elsewhere on the causeway, his chief captains, Alvarado and Sandoval, are captured by Mexica warriors. Destined for the sacrificial stone, La Malinche, the voice of the conquest, disappears in the chaos.
The next morning, there is no Spanish remnant fleeing. There are only corpses in the water.
And a handful of high-ranking prisoners awaiting their fate atop the Templo Mayor.
The first European attempt to conquer Mesoamerica has not ended in retreat. It has ended in total annihilation.
News of the victory echoes throughout the empire. The new Tlatoani, Cuitláhuac, is vindicated. The divinity of the foreigners is shattered forever. They are mortal. They are beatable.
But this victory brings with it a time bomb, smallpox. The disease had already been introduced by Cortés's expedition, and just as in our history, it sweeps the Valley of Mexico. Cuitláhuac dies from the illness.
But here, the political context is radically different. There is no besieging army taking advantage of the chaos. There is no demoralized and conquered population. There is a victorious, albeit sick, empire.
Cuauhtémoc, the young and aggressive war leader, ascends to the throne. He survives the disease, perhaps scarred, but alive. His mandate is not to lead the last defense of a ruined city, but the reconstruction of an empire that has proven its own strength.
Meanwhile, in Cuba, Governor Diego Velázquez awaits news. News never comes.
Cortés and his expedition are lost, vanished. They are assumed to have perished in the jungle or at sea.
But the gold that Cortés had sent before the Noche Triste did reach Spain. The interest of King Charles V is piqued.
There is a rich land to the west. A second expedition will be sent.
Perhaps 5 or 10 years later, a new Spanish fleet arrives on the coast of Veracruz.
But they do not find a superstitious and diplomatic Moctezuma. They find coastlines fortified by an empire that already knows them. An empire that has spent the last decade studying the remnants of Cortés's expedition.
The Aztecs now know of steel. They know of horses. They know of firearms.
This second Spanish expedition is met by an organized military force. The new conquistadors face...
They have captured the surviving horses and begun breeding them. They have learned to reforge the steel from the broken swords.
They cannot yet manufacture gunpowder, but they have developed an immense intelligence infrastructure.
Cortés's greatest ally, the Tlaxcalans, are now in a terrible position. Without Spanish protection, they face the full wrath of the Aztec Empire.
The civil war the Spanish exploited is resolved in favor of Tenochtitlan. The empire centralizes and becomes more militaristic than ever.
The second Spanish expedition fails. They cannot establish a beachhead. An inland conquest is impossible.
But the Europeans do not give up. If they cannot conquer it, they will trade with it. Or try to.
The Aztec Empire, under the leadership of Cuauhtémoc's dynasty, enters a period similar to the Tokugawa shogunate in Japan, selective isolation.
They realize European technology is both a threat and an opportunity. A deliberate program to acquire it begins. They allow limited trading posts, exchanging not for trinkets, but for two things: muskets and metallurgy.
Missionaries who try to enter are executed or expelled. The Aztec religion, with its bloodthirsty gods, has been strengthened.
Huitzilopochtli, the god of war, has proven his power by delivering them victory over the men of steel.
Human sacrifices, far from diminishing, intensify as a demonstration of state power and divine gratitude.
The world map is now different. Spain does not become the global superpower of the 16th century. Its golden age is much paler. The wars in Europe are financed differently.
Perhaps the Spanish Armada that attacks England is never so large, and English history changes. Meanwhile, in North America, the English and French colonists discover the continent's geopolitics are radically different. They don't just have to deal with local tribes, they have a powerful, centralized empire to the south. The Mexican Empire expands northward, seeking resources. They clash with the French on the Mississippi and with the English in Texas. The story of the American Wild West is a three-way conflict zone between European colonial powers and a Mesoamerican empire. The Aztecs, with access to horses and steel, become a formidable cavalry force, creating unique hybrid weapons.
They learn to build ships, creating a coastal fleet in the Gulf of Mexico. The European Enlightenment collides with a Mesoamerican philosophy that was never suppressed. The world isn't just split between West and East. It now has a third, powerful pole of civilization in the center of America.
If we looked at a map today, we would see the Federation of the Triple Alliance, or the Anahuac Empire, a world power.
Its capital, Tenochtitlan, would be one of the largest cities on the planet, a science fiction metropolis. A city where glass and steel skyscrapers rise alongside pyramids. Canals would crisscross the city alongside elevated highways.
The primary language of commerce wouldn't just be English and Spanish, but also modern Nahuatl, a language taught in universities worldwide.
Religiously, the world would be a very different place. Millions would practice a modernized form of the Mesoamerican religion. Technologically, they would be on par with the rest of the world, having had their own industrial revolution. The world we lost was not necessarily better. The brutality of the Aztec Empire was real, but so was its sophistication. In the end, the fall of Tenochtitlan was not inevitable. It was the result of a handful of survivors on a rainy night.
Had a single warrior's spear flown just a few inches to the left, the world we know would not exist.
And the beating heart of America, instead of being an archaeological memora, would still be ruling from its throne on the lake.